Imagine stepping back in time, not to a castle, but to the heart of medieval life, the marketplace. The year is 1350. The air is thick with the smells of roasting meat, baking bread, and the stench of unwashed bodies and open sewers. This is no sanitized reenactment, it's a raw, unfiltered assault on the senses. The noise is relentless, merchants shouting, buyers haggling, animals squealing, minstrels playing for coins. Banners flap above stalls, and a kaleidoscope of people jostle through muddy, crowded lanes. A wealthy merchant brushes past a peasant, a squire leads a horse, children dart between legs, chasing stray dogs or apples. The ground is a treacherous mix of mud, straw, and refuse. You watch every step. The crowd presses in, everyone's sweat and breath mingling in the air. For most, the market is the only place to buy, sell, and connect with the wider world. It's a living, breathing organism, chaotic, exhausting, and utterly essential. Here, every social class collides in a messy, vibrant scrum. The market is the beating heart of the community, survival, commerce, and chaos, all in one place. In medieval markets, most people couldn't read. Words meant little, symbols meant everything. Merchants used visual cues. A blacksmith hung an iron anvil, a baker displayed a pretzel or sheaf of wheat. Shoemakers showed oversized boots, vintners a grapevine, fishmongers a wooden fish. The goods themselves were the best advertisement: bolts of cloth, piles of apples, wheels of cheese. Shoppers judged by sight, touch, and smell, not by written descriptions. This visual language became tradition. Families used the same signs for generations, building reputations on images, not words. Shopping was active and observant. You learned to read the forest of signs. Heraldry for shops emerged, creating a visual identity passed down through time. A giant wooden key meant a locksmith, a pig's head meant fresh pork. Navigating the market meant decoding a world of symbols. It was a skill, one as vital as haggling or spotting a scam. In a world without words, images ruled the marketplace. The medieval market was a minefield of scams. With little regulation, every transaction was a risk. Being cheated could mean hunger or worse. Bakers mixed sand or chalk into flour. Alewives watered down beer. Vintners dyed cheap wine. Weavers stretched wet cloth to make it seem longer. Dyers used cheap dyes that faded after one wash. Even firewood could be stacked to look like more than you'd get. Everyone knew scams were common. The challenge was spotting them before you paid. Buyers needed sharp eyes and practical knowledge, what good bread felt like, how to judge a chicken's weight, or spot a fake dye. Every purchase was a test of your expertise. It was a daily battle of wits between buyer and seller. Trust was fragile, and survival depended on your ability to see through deception. In the market, vigilance was everything. Fixed prices didn't exist. Haggling was the norm, and every price was up for debate. For buyers, a good deal could mean food for the week. For sellers, it was about making a living. Sellers started high, buyers countered low. Each side played their part in a theatrical negotiation. Insults, dramatic gestures, and even walking away were all tactics in the game. The final price landed somewhere in the middle, after a public display of bluff and endurance. Knowing the value of goods was crucial. Ignorance meant being taken advantage of. Market gossip helped buyers know which merchants were tough or fair. Haggling was more than a transaction. It was a social ritual and a survival skill. Every deal was a performance, a test of knowledge and nerve. The market was a stage and everyone played their part. In this world, negotiation was life. The market was a dangerous place to buy food. Hygiene was almost non-existent. Butchers slaughtered animals in the open, blood and offal thrown into the street, attracting flies and vermin. Meat hung in the sun, days old, sometimes disguised with spices or dirty water. Fish decomposed in the heat. Fishmongers rubbed blood on gills to fake freshness. Milk and cheese teemed with bacteria. Even water was often contaminated. Stalls were crammed together with no waste disposal. Cross-contamination was inevitable. Butchers, bakers, and tanners worked side by side, their products and filth mingling. The air was thick with disease. Every meal was a gamble. Buying food was an act of faith. Hoping it wouldn't bring sickness home. In the medieval market, eating was a risk you had to take. With scams rampant, punishment for fraud was public and humiliating. Authorities knew trust was vital, so cheats were punished in the open, not behind closed doors. The pillory or stocks awaited fraudulent merchants who endured hours of public ridicule. Crowds hurled insults, and sometimes the very goods the merchant had faked. Bakers selling underweight bread were paraded with the offending loaf around their necks. Alewives selling bad beer might be dunked in rivers or forced to wear iron masks. These punishments were messy, theatrical, and unforgettable. The goal: deter others and reinforce community standards. Public disgrace was a powerful deterrent. Everyone knew the consequences of deceit. The market policed itself through shame, not just law. In this world, reputation was everything. In the medieval world, a bad purchase could be catastrophic. A broken tool or spoiled food wasn't just an inconvenience. It could mean hunger, cold, or disaster. Imagine saving for months to buy a plowshare, only for it to break and ruin your harvest. Trust in local craftsmen was essential. Their reputations were built over generations. A shoemaker's bad work could ruin his livelihood. Everyone would know. This web of relationships offered protection that laws couldn't. Even a leaky barrel could spoil your winter food supply. Every coin spent was a risk, every purchase a matter of survival. People depended on the honesty of their neighbors as much as the quality of goods. Mistakes could be fatal, so trust and reputation were the community's lifelines. In the market, every choice mattered. Life in the medieval market was harsh, but people adapted with remarkable resilience. They became expert observers, judging bread by weight, cloth by feel, meat by smell. Every transaction demanded vigilance and skepticism. Trust was built slowly, person by person, over generations. Reputation was a craftsman's most precious asset. A bad name meant ruin. The community acted as its own regulator, holding cheats to account. People learned to navigate chaos, mitigate danger, and rely on each other. They faced daily risks we can barely imagine, yet they endured. The market was a crucible, sharpening wits, forging trust, and demanding cooperation. Even without modern protections, they built systems to survive and thrive. Their world reminds us resilience, vigilance, and community are timeless strengths. In the chaos of the medieval market, humanity's adaptability shone through. Against all odds, they found ways to endure.